I'm Amanda, I'm from Taiwan, and our virtual participant is Ring from America.
Yeah, I'm Naren from India.
Hi, I'm Michael, originally from Russia, but right now I'm living in Germany.
Hello, my name is Andreas Weiermann. I'm from Munich and a local participant.
I'm Anna, I'm from the Philippines. We're Sasakta and we're here to show you how we'll transform education by simply thinking out of the box. We want to introduce a new delivery mechanism of primary education to children ages 5 to 10 in community centers in India called the Anganwadis by way of a project-based learning toolkit. These toolkits contain materials needed to guide them through the project-based learning process and in turn will help them gain primary education, but not only this, also help them develop a problem-solving mindset and help them develop skills with real-world value. Now, let's take a closer look into these Anganwadis. Let us paint a picture for you. So these Anganwadis are actually community centers in India, and they are already existing and are already accessible infrastructures for the children in India. The children here are already mobilized because here they are given food, medicine, and basic health education. However, they are not given a proper primary education, so the children that go here do not have proper access to this. And interestingly enough, we also found out that there's an existing pool of university students in NGOs who are already volunteering for educational purposes. However, they do not have opportunity because there are simply not enough projects for them. So if these two groups can actually help each other, how come they aren't connected yet? Well, what we found out is that these NGOs actually focus on institutions that already have existing educational structures, and they cannot access the Anganwadis because they do not have a platform or an existing structure for their primary education. And this is where our toolbox comes in. We propose that we could bridge these two groups through our project-based learning toolkit. Now first, why project-based learning? We found that project-based learning, the project-based learning concept, is actually already has a simple structure that is easily reproducible and easily adaptable, even in contexts outside of the classroom. And so we think that by giving the toolbox to the Anganwadis, we are able to provide the students in the NGOs to have opportunity to help out and teach primary education to these children.
So, how would such an actual project look like? For example, this is Ram. He lives in southern India. He's about 7 years old. And he goes every other day with his family to the Anganwadi centers to get food and medicine. Of course, he has many friends there at his age, and they play usual games on the streets just as we did when we were young. And our toolkit now allows him and his friends not only to play together, but also learn something by doing so. Last week, for example, they were working on a project called Mr. Gupta's Farm. With driving questions, the group mentor, a voluntary student from an Indian NGO, guides them through the whole process of project-based learning. For example, they meet Mr. Gupta. They met Mr. Gupta at his farm to observe, talk about what they see, and summarize their projects and their experiences on post-it, for example. So what did Ram actually learn through this? Just by providing the right environment with basic stationery, some tools, flashcards, and some certain amount of mentorship, the process-based learning process allowed them to learn primary-based education. So what is the concrete impact about this? We proclaim, once they complete a certain amount of project which we provide, they will gain certain skills which generate a lot more opportunities in their future lives, since there are so many jobs in India that only require those basic skills, like for example a bus conductor.
And imagine, if we take the cost of primary education in India per person and multiply this to the number of children who are already in Anganwadis yet do not have access to primary education, the value of the education that our toolkit provides is worth a lot. So even if we only take 3% of this market, we will have saved more than 1 billion euros worth of primary education for the Indian government. And all for the relatively small cost of producing our product.
So actually, let's look on the business model. What do we need to create and develop our toolbox? We need money and we need the knowledge. So we are going to connect and cooperate with partners. Money, funding partners, the 3 or 4 F, family, friends, and foes, and of course foundations, but also other project-based learning experts. That's why we create a project, this toolbox, which just costs €3. In the second stage, we want to become sustainable. That's what a business model is all about. So we still have some funding partners and project-based learning experts. But as we have proved in the last 2 years, our project tool and our concept is such an effective thing. It's not only effective, it's also a cheap one. So we can sell it to the government. That's how we become sustainable, by covering our costs. Nail it, so we have to scale it, so we are going online, and that's why everybody will have access to our concept online.
So over the past few days, we have also partnered with few NGOs who help us build the facilitator network. We have some NGOs like URCU and Japan. Also, we have knowledge partners like Valonia, IQ, and PUM.
Our vision is to bring project-based learning experience to every corner in the world. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot for this great idea, I think, and also for a great presentation. I would have one question, because you have these NGOs, the people in the NGOs, until now they are perhaps not that educated, how you think. How do you educate these people to teach afterwards this project learning-based approach?
And actually, right now for our MVP, we actually are personally contacting these NGOs, the ones that we showed you for our partners. And what we propose, as you might have seen, is that in the toolboxes there are these sort of manuals. And so Naren here, who is our person who has a personal contact in India, actually can go to these NGOs and can get the volunteers that we know for sure are already existing. And we will personally train them, given that we ourselves will also be trained by our partners who are PBL experts. And we train them and give them these materials for them to be able to facilitate better. So, for example, as we showed in the illustration, the toolbox actually contains some sort of manual for these facilitators, for the volunteers. And these not only contain, for example, what projects to do, but it also contains how to assess the kids, how to guide them better, how to know when to ask the questions and when to let them lead, and let the natural process of project-based learning flow.
This was the first question. Jury, other 2 questions.
I was looking for your competitive advantage. Like, you do something, you start something. What would be the things that you say is a special thing that you contribute, which can easily be copied or others?
Can we go to the main house now?
We do our competitor analysis, and we found out there are 3 types of competitors. First is the one who provide the toolkits, the project-based learning toolbox. But our advantage compared to them is we can actually provide much cheaper one to the people who need it. And another type of competitors is the NGOs. They are actually working on the educations, but they don't have the proper tools for the project-based learning experiences. And this is what we can provide.
I would be curious over the course of the time, once you offer different kinds of toolboxes with different kind of content, What's your role going to be? Are you going to be the ones producing the whole toolbox? Or are you going to outsource that?
Yeah, so like in the third step, we have this online crowdsourcing platform wherein we get the content from the users, and then probably say if you have like a particular topic, you have a topic called farming, wherein the content is crowdsourced by the user, and we would be providing online crowdsourcing toolkits.
Thank you very much, Sasakta. Thank you very much, dear jury.